Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about the cause of World War One. In particularly, I'm going to talk about why World War One was inevitable. It is because of conflicts that had already been fueled by nationalism and imperialism. I also want to highlight the impact of prominent figures toward the spark of World War One, like Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Some might argue that if Archduke Franz Ferdinand didn't get assassinated, then perhaps World War One wouldn't occur. But I think that a prominent figure was just a smaller unit that were being influenced by the bigger system that they belong in. Because European international relations by the end of 19th century had become more interdependent and more integrated with different factors. Now, it is important in international politics. Each state takes pride in their value, and a state could wield force in order to prove its nationalism. I want to say that Pan-Slavism was an important impersonal factor that sparked World War One. Let's look at this map for a moment. Okay, since 1903, there was a new ruling dynasty inside Serbia, and Pan-Slavism spread into the neighbor states. Under a sense of nationalism, the Serbs want to bring the Southern Slavs living under the rule of Austria-Hungary Empire into the new country. You know, they believe they share the same blood and culture. As a result of this Pan-Slavism, the new Serbia kingdom posed a security threat for the Austria-Hungary Empire, because the Slavs lived in Austria-Hungary Empire felt that they didn't share common culture with the monarch in power. So they formed nationalist group, an underground organization with the goal is to achieve self-determination from the Austro-Hungarian monarch. Domestic politics was one of the impersonal factors that led to World War One. In the early 19th century, domestic politics was becoming more important to international relations, and the foreign states were caught in domestic entanglement with one another. Again, Serbian nationalists with the Pan-Slavism movement were able to expand the territory, assimilate millions of people, and strengthen their military since the end of Balkan War of 1912 to 1913. The Austria-Hungary Empire felt pressure from this neighbor, because they were afraid that the Slavs living in their territory would incorporate with the Serbs to revolt. A sovereign state has total power to legislate both domestic and foreign policy, and it would be very dangerous if a foreign state had influence over another state's domestic politics, because this signals that it is losing the control of its sovereignty. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was an important factor that led to World War One. He was assassinated by a member of a group of Serb and Croat nationalists. Austria-Hungary suspected this group was backed up by Serbian government, and they wanted to use this as an excuse to infiltrate Serbia. And would Europe be able to avoid war if the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand didn't happen? Okay, so here's my theory. Although the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was a significant event, World War I was inevitable because Europe's states were already preparing or at war with each other. Looking from a broader picture, this event was just the final step that triggered the war to come faster. Let's move back a bit. We had the Balkan War of 1912 to 1913 that had damaged the relation between Austria-Hungary and Serbia, and the emergence of Pan-Slavism would sooner or later threaten the sovereignty of Austria-Hungary. Also, the bitterness from the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 put the French on their feet to wage war again with Germany. Russia was about to enter war with Austria-Hungary, and as a result, the war between them led to the formation of alliance. In 1879, Germany allied with Austria-Hungary to prevent Russian invasion. Then Italy joined them later to make the Triple Alliance. French antipathy toward Germany had them form their own alliance, which was called the Triple Entente. Once the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand happened, these countries activated their alliance treaties and resulted in World War I. Now, the expansionist policies of each European state create the security dilemma and led to competing military power among themselves, which was another factor that led to World War I. Since the Franco-Prussian War in 1870, European states sought to expand their territories in Africa in order to fuel their capitalistic system. By 1914, imperialism was the means to compete for power. Capitalists received funds from government to create militia abroad, build warships, open private companies to extract raw material, and exploit other ethnicities for free labor. When a state adopted expansionist policy, those nearby states had to adjust their foreign policies accordingly to their neighbor. Germany got into the naval race with Britain. They didn't want to be left behind in the imperialism race, and it affected the Anglo-German relation, which later pitched both countries against each other in World War I. The majority of German population wanted to become a powerful empire that could manipulate Europe. They were looking to expand their territory and power as a response to problems coming from urbanization, industrialization, and from growing socialist movement among the labor class. These problems threatened the political stability of the country. Weltpolitik marked a new political era for Germany. This foreign policy promoted imperialism through aggressive military power, an approach similarly to Britain, France, Russia, and Austria-Hungary. Okay, now conclusion for the origin of World War I. Let me remind you that there were many other factors beside these, but nationalism like Pan-Slavism had pitched Austria-Hungary and her alliance against Serbia and the Triple Entente. As seen in the case of Germany, new sentiments of nationalism united the population under the new systems of capitalism and imperialism. Domestic politics became closely intersected with international politics. In particular, prominent figures like Archduke Franz Ferdinand had major role to the start of World War I. However, he was only part of a system that was designed with multiple interdependencies and integration from other different factors. The assassination was a direct reaction to European international politics at the time. So no, even if Archduke Franz Ferdinand didn't get assassinated, World War I would still occur.